From gritty early shockers to mainstream nightmares that reshaped the genre, Wes Craven's career is a map of horror's evolution across the VHS era. This list covers 10 films that show his range at its widest, from raw confrontational storytelling to high-concept studio productions and self-aware genre twists. Some became cultural landmarks, others flew under the radar, but all of them carry Craven's unmistakable voice. Fear rooted in reality, rules meant to be broken, and stories that refuse to stay comfortable. These aren't ranked by popularity or box office, just 10 essential stops in one of horror's most influential filmographies. A Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. On Quiet Elm Street, teenagers discover a terrifying truth. Fall asleep, and the burned man with the bladed glove can kill you in your dreams. For real. Resourceful Nancy Thompson fights to stay awake and uncover the nightmare's origin, while parents dismiss it all as hysteria. Wes Craven revolutionizes the slasher with psychological dread and surreal dream logic. Boiler rooms stretching endlessly, bodies dragged across ceilings, blood gushing from beds. Heather Langenkamp anchors the terror as Nancy, her grounded determination clashing against Freddy Krueger's razor-fingered menace and wicked taunts. Practical effects turn the ordinary suburban world into a hallucinatory trap. Emerging amid endless slasher clones, Nightmare stood apart by invading the one place you can't escape: your sleep. Its inventive kills, unforgettable villain, and haunting nursery rhyme made Freddy an instant icon, launching one of horror's most enduring franchises and proving some nightmares never truly end. The Hills Have Eyes, 1977. A family traveling across the Nevada desert becomes stranded after their trailer breaks down. Isolated and exposed, they're hunted by a clan of cannibals mutated by nuclear testing. Survival demands adaptation, and the line between victim and aggressor begins to blur in the relentless wasteland. Michael Berryman's Pluto is unforgettable, a physical, almost hypnotic presence that embodies the terror of the desert mutants. Russ Grieve and John Stedman make the family feel authentically ordinary, which amplifies the horror as their transformation into fighters becomes desperate and bloody. Craven uses the barren landscape itself as a weapon. Endless stretches of sand leave no escape, every ridge a potential threat. The attackers aren't mindless. They communicate, plan, and exploit weakness, turning each encounter into a tense game of survival that never feels staged. The Hills Have Eyes is stripped-down primal horror. Every death hurts, because the stakes feel tangible. Every moment of survival is earned. Craven's control over tension and atmosphere makes it a lean, focused, and enduring classic of 70s exploitation horror. The People Under the Stairs, 1991. A young boy nicknamed Fool breaks into a fortified house to save his family from eviction, only to discover a nightmare lurking inside. The homeowners, referred to only as Mommy and Daddy, imprison children in the walls who have become feral over time. Survival turns into a twisted game of cat and mouse in a house designed to trap, confuse, and terrify. Brandon Quintin Adams brings charm and resilience to Fool, anchoring the story amid escalating horror. Wendy Roby and Everett McGill play the monstrous homeowners with unnerving control, turning suburban respectability into a weapon that conceals cruelty. The performances elevate the fairy tale meets class anger premise. Craven uses architecture as a storytelling device. The labyrinthine house becomes a character itself, full of hidden passages, claustrophobic hallways, and sinister surprises. Practical effects, especially on the trapped children, are grotesque but effective, grounding the supernatural-tinged horror in tangible reality. The People Under the Stairs combines social commentary with gothic horror. It's darkly humorous, inventive, and tense, balancing thrills with pointed allegory. Craven's anger at inequality is clear, but never overwhelms the story, making this one of his sharpest 90s efforts. The Last House on the Left, 1972. Two teenage girls set out for a night of freedom and music, only to vanish into the woods. Escaped convicts abduct them, inflicting a prolonged, shocking terror before murder strikes. Fate intervenes when the killers find shelter at one victim's parents' home, and what follows is a brutal reckoning of vengeance and desperation. David Hess dominates as the gang's unhinged leader, his charisma making the cruelty all the more compelling. The small, grainy 16mm production adds a documentary-like realism to every chase, scream, and act of violence, while the non-professional supporting cast enhances the feeling that anything could happen. The pacing jolts the audience. Harrowing assaults collide with occasional, almost jarring moments of inept law enforcement, keeping viewers off balance. By the time revenge erupts, there's no clean resolution, only savage payback that feels earned, inevitable, and exhausting. It's a film that refuses comfort. The Last House on the Left is raw, divisive, and morally uncomfortable, a test of endurance as much as a horror film. Its flaws are inseparable from its power, making it a landmark of shock cinema that continues to provoke discussion decades later. Swamp Thing, 1982. A scientist working on a regenerative formula in the Louisiana bayou is caught in an explosion, transforming into a plant-human hybrid. Gifted with strength, healing, and plant-based powers, he must protect a witness to his transformation while evading a paramilitary organization and its sadistic leader. Ray Wise sells the tragedy of a man trapped in monstrous form, while Dick Durock conveys surprising emotion and physicality beneath the Swamp Thing suit. Adrienne Barbeau gives the female lead grounded toughness, refusing to be a passive victim, and Louis Jourdan hams deliciously as the melodramatic villain. The practical creature effects remain impressive. The foam latex suit allows for expressiveness, while the swamp setting adds atmosphere and texture. Action is straightforward but serviceable, with squibs, stunts, and makeup effects creating convincing peril within budget constraints. Swamp Thing is earnest, fun, and unpretentious. It's lighter than typical Craven fare, but the performances, atmosphere, and monster design make it a charming 80s B-movie adaptation of a comic book favorite. The Serpent and the Rainbow, 1988. An anthropologist travels to Haiti to study a drug said to induce death-like paralysis. What begins as a scientific investigation spirals into political terror, dark magic, and rituals that defy logic. The line between reality and supernatural threat grows thinner with every discovery. Bill Pullman anchors the story with skepticism and mounting dread, while Kathy Tyson and Zake Smoke lend authenticity to a world that could easily have slipped into stereotype. Their performances help the horrors land with weight, making the supernatural feel credible and grounded. Surreal visions, hallucinatory sequences, and practical body horror blend seamlessly. Craven leans into the sensory experience of dread, burial-alive imagery, twisted rituals, and psychic torment keep tension high, while ambiguity about what's real sustains unease. It's one of Craven's most atmospheric and thoughtful films. The Serpent and the Rainbow balances ethnographic care with nightmare logic, delivering horror that's smart, viscerally unsettling, and lingering. Deadly Friend, 1986. A teenage robotics prodigy brings his AI creation to life in the body of a dead neighbor. Samantha awakens with inhuman strength and movements that unsettle everyone around her. The familiar suburban setting becomes a stage for creeping mechanical dread and unexpected violence. Christy Swanson's physicality sells Samantha's robotic precision, while Matthew Laberteau grounds the story as the desperate inventor facing consequences he can barely control. Each interaction becomes slightly off, uncomfortably precise, turning ordinary scenes into something tense and uncanny. The infamous basketball kill blends absurdity with technical skill, standing out amid quieter, more eerie moments. Makeup and decay effects give Samantha's transformation a tangible, unsettling texture that balances teen drama with body horror. Deadly Friend is a strange hybrid, ambitious and uneven, neither fully teen romance nor pure horror, but compelling for its ideas, inventive kills, and the sense that something has gone profoundly wrong in the ordinary world. Shocker, 1989. A serial killer executed in the electric chair refuses to stay dead. Reborn as pure energy, he possesses anyone who touches a powered device, continuing his spree of murder. A college student who lost his family to the original killings discovers a strange connection that might be the only way to stop the killer for good. Mitch Pileggi crackles with manic menace as Horace Pinker, turning every scene into gleeful, unhinged spectacle. Peter Berg grounds the chaos as the haunted protagonist, struggling against a killer whose powers make every encounter unpredictable. The dynamic between the two keeps the high-concept premise from spinning completely out of control. Craven embraces surrealism in inventive possession sequences. Bodies twist mid-chase, identities shift, and the line between predator and victim blurs. Practical effects mix with early digital tricks, creating both memorable and occasionally dated visuals, especially during Pinker's energy-fueled havoc. Shocker is wild, chaotic, and unapologetically over the top. It's uneven and sprawling, but the ambition, inventive kills, and sheer audacity make it a uniquely entertaining entry in Craven's late 80s era. Invitation to Hell, 1984. Matt Winslow thinks he has found the perfect life. A new job at a cutting-edge tech company brings him, his wife, and their children to a polished suburban community. But there is one catch. Everyone insists that the family join the local country club. At first, it seems like harmless peer pressure, until Matt realizes the club is hiding something far more sinister, and membership might cost his family everything. Directed by Wes Craven, the film delivers suburban horror with a supernatural twist. Robert Urich plays Matt as the determined outsider, refusing to surrender his principles no matter the pressure. Opposite him is Susan Lucci, unforgettable as Jessica Jones, the glamorous and commanding figure who embodies the club's temptations. Joanna Cassidy and Soleil Moon Frye round out the family, adding both warmth and vulnerability to the story. The imagery is striking. Ordinary streets and manicured lawns give way to fiery visions, glowing gateways, and a climactic descent into a hellish dimension that pushes the boundaries of a made-for-television production. Craven uses suggestion and atmosphere in place of gore, proving that dread can come just as easily from what we imagine as what we see. What makes Invitation to Hell memorable is the way it twists the comforts of suburban life into a trap. Beneath the polished smiles and promises of success lurks a nightmare that feels inescapable once you've stepped too close. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, 1994. The nightmare isn't confined to Elm Street anymore. An ancient evil, taking the shape of Freddy Krueger, begins stalking the people who created him. Heather Langenkamp, Nancy herself, finds harassing calls, earthquake tremors, and a new razor glove turning up on her doorstep. Reality frays as the entity crosses the line from fiction into the real world. Wes Craven writes and directs a chilling meta reimagining, appearing as himself, crafting the very script we're watching. Heather Langenkamp plays a heightened version of her own life. Robert Englund wrestles with the darkness of the role he made famous. And John Saxon returns as both actor and Lieutenant Thompson. This Freddy is stripped of camp. Primal, silent when he needs to be, unbound by dream rules. Practical effects and shadowy cinematography build slow-burn dread, making every appearance feel like an invasion. Far ahead of its time, New Nightmare explores the power of stories to become real, the burden of legacy, and the horror genre's own demons. Intelligent, unsettling, and genuinely frightening, it stands as one of the franchise's boldest and most enduring achievements, a sophisticated nightmare that still feels dangerously close to home. If you love discovering forgotten horror and cult cinema, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the films time forgot. Thanks for watching, and remember, always be kind and rewind, because every movie is someone's favorite.